Hello, my loves. Here we are on day 8 of the expansion accelerator, and I am exceptionally lit up to be here with you right now and for what I have to share with you today. And I don't want you to just listen with your ears. I want you to imagine as every single one of these words and the energy underneath the words seeps down into your heart and into every fiber of your being, because that is how powerful today is going to be. And this is actually inspired by some of the conversations that we were having together yesterday. And there were aspects of worthiness coming up and this really authentic truth that I think every single one of us can relate to at some point of our life, questioning our worth or feeling like we need to earn our worth or struggling with our own self image, struggling with the way that we relate to ourselves, which is woven into tools, distinctions, teachings, energetics to support you with that, has been like subtly woven into some of the other things we've done up until this point, and I promise you will continue to be woven into the rest of the journey. So I don't want you to think like, oh my gosh, this conversation around worthiness and identity and self-image on day 8 is what I need. I hope we talk about that more. We will. This is not a one and done, but I want to speak to this very, very directly. So many of you have probably heard me say, because I've said it quite frequently recently, and I believe it to be true, and it is the most important story that you'll ever tell is the story that you tell about yourself, specifically the story that you tell yourself about yourself. So we want to be really mindful of that internal dialogue and the way that we relate to ourselves. And if you are in the camp of having spent most of your life having pretty disempowering, the opposite of empowering is disempowering, and not very supportive or helpful thoughts about yourself and what's possible and what you're capable of. And maybe there's a voice from someone in your past, maybe a parent, an authority figure, a voice from someone you went to school with that you hear in your mind that says not so nice things. And maybe honestly, maybe when you are feeling pretty disempowered, feeling a little bit down in the dumps, if you will, and you're having a hard time pulling yourself out of that, sometimes it really just might be your voice. And there are 2 acronyms that I want to share with you. One of them is ego, EGO, which a client of mine once shared can be broken down into edging God out. If God isn't the word that you like to use for your higher power, choose something else, insert something else. I'm going to be using the word God several times throughout today because that's just what feels like my truth. But God could be Gaia, universe, life, source, spirit, any of goddess, any of it. There's probably other words in there that I didn't rattle off that you connect to. So there's no right or wrong name for this. It could just be your higher self. But I really love EGO's edging God out. And the acronym, this is for those of you who aren't quite on board with the word God, but are getting there, the word GUS, or the acronym GUS, GUS, which is God, Universe, Source, or God, Universe, Spirit. So we're going to play with those today. But what I want you to know is that typically when we are on the side of the coin, again, where we're not feeling so great about ourselves and our thoughts are perpetuating some of that icky energy, that is often when the ego is at play. The part of your brain that is trying to protect you, are the voice that is based and rooted in fear is ego, a protective mechanism. But the reason I love this acronym of edging God out is your ego is the majority of the time not telling you the truth. It's just telling you whatever it can possibly think of to try to have you stay safe and stay in your comfort zone. And if you're staying safe and you're staying in your comfort zone, chances are that you're not doing the work that you're here to do, that you're not taking aligned action, that you're not living by faith, that you're not moving from courage. I think that there's an element of safety that is really, truly important for us to be successful and feel good in our nervous system, but not when that safety is rooted in fear and is holding us back. that safety, it's an illusion of safety, it's not even real, is actually really toxic and harmful for our soul, for our purpose, for what we're here to do. So a lot of you in those moments when you're struggling with worth or you're struggling with self-image or you're struggling with identity, what's happening is the voice of the ego has gotten really loud. And the voice of the ego might actually be what has been running the show for a really long time. So the invitation today, and I'm literally giving you a tool that your girl Dani, I use on a very regular basis. So today we're going to look at the flip side of the coin. And it's like, okay, I am deeply familiar with what my ego has to say about me and what my ego has to say about what's possible and what my ego has to say about the future and what my ego has to say about the past. I wonder what God has to say about all of this. I wonder what Gus has to say about all of this. I wonder what spirit, my highest self, again, in my mind, those are all kind of the same energy. You just grab onto the one that feels best for you. I wonder what that has to say about all of this. Because if you are going to create space and listen to the voice of fear, you owe it to yourself to listen to the voice of love, to listen to the voice of truth, to listen to the voice of that highest frequency energy, which is God energy, spirit energy. So today, for our super simple action step, our energy expander, I want you to grab a blank piece of paper, grab the journal that you've been using for this experience, and I want you to, and you can even do this right now. You might want to listen to this all the way through. And if you can't do this right now, you might want to just come back to this part, fast forward it. You can also adjust the audio so you can listen to it, on double speed, triple speed, quadruple speed. Don't do that. I talk fast already. But I want to invite you just to imagine closing your eyes when you can do this. I don't want you to imagine. I actually do want you to close your eyes. And by closing your eyes, you're able to bring your attention inward. You're able to more easily connect with what is happening within you. And within you is also this connection that you inherently have to God, to universe, to spirit. And it can be helpful for you to bring your attention to the very top of your head, your crown chakra. This is the energy center that is most connected to your higher power. And you can take a few deep breaths and you can invite that spirit of God, of universe, of the divine to just fill you up. Welcoming that into your body, welcoming that into your space. This is gentle, this is safe, this is loving. This is like the truest form of warm, unconditional love that you could ever access. Feel it filling the space all around you as well. And that can be one really beautiful way to connect to spirit. If you have another way that you like to connect to spirit, you can do that. But from this place, from this connection to spirit, to God, to Gus, I want to invite you to ask the question, what would you say about me? What do you know to be true about me? So for me, that would look like, God, what do you want me to know about me? God, how do you see me? How would you describe me? And I want you to make a list of those things. And I think that for some of you, this is going to be really simple and it's going to flow and there's going to be some really beautiful statements. And for others, this practice might be so new that it might feel a little tricky. And so let it be really simple. You know what's so funny I found is that when I'm receiving messages from spirit, when I feel like God drops something into my heart, my soul, my mind, either for me or to share with others, it's really simple, y'all. God does not mince words. It's typically the simplest, yet most powerful and profound things, statements. So that's it today. Is if you have ever found yourself struggling with self-worth, with your identity, with self-image, there's a really good chance that what you're listening to most, the story that you're telling yourself, is rooted in ego, the part of you that is edging God out, that is edging the truth out, that is trying to speak to you from a place of fear. And what's on the other side of that, the flip side of that, is what's actually true and what's rooted in love. And whenever we can come back to the energy of the divine and spirit, that is when we are going to get the truest truth. So I want you to take that in. That's what we're going to do today. And it's so cool. I was reading, there's a devotional that I love, and I was reading it today, and there were a couple of statements that I thought were really cool and that speak to this. So I'm going to rattle a few of these off. If you want to jot them down, you can. But where we see lack, God sees opportunity. Where we see failure, God sees potential. Where we see weakness, God sees strength. Where we see what is or what has been, God sees what can and will be. Where we see delay, God sees perfect timing. Where we see struggle, God sees growth. Where we see confusion, God sees clarity unfolding. Where we see a closed door, God sees redirection to something better. Where we see fear, God sees love and an opportunity to trust. Gosh, so many amazing things. Where we see impossibility, God sees a miracle in the making. You, my love, are a miracle, not even a miracle in the making. You are a miracle right now. Chances of you being alive and existing at this point in time in this body, it's insane. The statistics, it's like 1 in 400 trillion. What had to happen, the pieces that had to come together so that you could be here right now, you could be in this body with this heart that is beating and this breath that is breathing through you. It is extraordinary. You are a freaking miracle. And today we're going to connect to that energy. So I love you so much. Grab your journal, connect to God, universe, spirit, however you like to. Let it be really simple and just ask, how do you see me? What's actually true about me? What do you want me to know about me? I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.